This is High Chair Normie. Today's topic is going to ask the question of whether women's propensity to push the black pill, to judge every person, male or female, on their looks, whether this is a good thing for society or not. Is it a good thing for evolution or not? Is it a good thing for, quality of life or not? And so, we're raised in a meritocracy. And so, like Jordan Peterson says, we really want to believe that competency is valued beyond appearance. And I think sometimes that's true. If you look at an industry that I'm not in, like software development, maybe I should have gone into that. But if you look at that, a lot of the great software developers are ugly. And the women who have to work adjacent to them are like, oh, he's cocky. It's like, well, maybe, and also maybe he's competent. But, that's an area where women feel unwelcome. And I think they feel unwelcome for a reason, because them showing up and having eggs, it doesn't really do that much for them. If they don't know anything, from a hole in the wall, they're going to get roasted out of the room, and rightfully so. But to them, that is, sexism in the workplace. And so this is a really big topic, but as a big picture guy, that's what I like to look at. And so I want to dissect what's really going on, because this bothers me sometimes, because we're going to lament the black pill, but at the end of the day, are you lamenting nature? Are you lamenting God? Are you lamenting the universe? Are you going in resistance to the way things are supposed to be? Are you just mad because, you're that, that mediocre animal? Are you mad at the fit animal that's gonna, benefit the next generation? Is it really not personal? Is it really like, nothing personal to you, but these female instincts are just so highly tailored to the greater good that they don't care about you, because the greater good is frankly more important than you. And this is a really hard topic, because our sense of, a Christian-based, post-Christian morality, we're very much attached to the idea that, what's on the inside counts. And to validate the black pill in some way, and to say that these women are right, it kind of takes away a place to put the blame for the horrendous treatment that a lot of men particularly suffer today. And we know it wasn't that way, 80 years ago. I look at my grandfather. He was not a Chad at all, but he had respect from society, absolutely. Both my grandparents. One of my grandparents was, financially successful, but he was one of my grandfathers was financially successful, but he was very ugly, and kind of looking like Steve Buscemi, or whoever that character actor is. They're always the character actors are the more ugly actors. He didn't look very good. And then, the grandfather on the other side, he was kind of like a Chad light, honestly, but he was also a milkman. But, being a milkman, delivering milk like a Postmates person, he was able to support 11 children. And also he was able to create 11 children. Yeah, we're talking DMX levels of fertility and success with, one female in particular, but that's kind of the way it went back then. And he was a G, like he was not a wussy, as it were. And so, But anyways, testosterone has gone down, soy has increased, the world has just changed. We all know the things that have changed, the factors that have led everything here, that have made 21% of Gen Z swinging for the other team. Literally, look that up. LGBT, 21% Gen Z. And yes, I am a poet. So, the world is changing, the environment's changing, the society's changing. We all know this, I think the leftists are onto something when they say that we have angst about a changing society. I mean, yeah, they're remarkably adaptable. They can just throw away their whole genetic line. They can just completely live without respect and decency. And, maybe they're the sane ones. And I think all of us, who the media would call the manosphere, we are, recoiling when we hear the word leftist. We're recoiling back, and, we're thinking of John Podesta and Baphomets and, Moloch and, Ghislaine Maxwell and all this kind of stuff. But, them notwithstanding, there are a lot of ways that leftists are, more well-adjusted. They're carving out a niche in a world that is changing so fast that it leaves the heads of conservatives spinning. And so there's something to be learned from them. But, this is one of those topics that I'm ambivalent on. And so I think that this video is more to start a conversation and start a train of thought rather than to, put down some, cheerleading for one team or the other. So as promised, let's go ahead and look at the viability of the black pill in practice. Now, when it comes to evolution, when it comes to genetics, what do we see going on right now? We see that 1 in every 2 children have a chronic illness or disease. Now, this is categorized pretty broadly: ADHD, seasonal allergies. These things that, we might not think of as a chronic illness are included in that definition. But still, 50% or so is, sounds pretty drastic. So let's go ahead and see what nature would want to do in this kind of situation. So now I'll be the first to remark on the fact that, for example, in my last job, there was this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blonde girl. And, but she was allergic to everything. And she had GI issues, and she had everything genetically wrong with her that a person could have. And, there might be environmental factors there too. C-section babies have messed up immune systems. You can have too many antibiotics, especially when you're young, and it hurts your microbiome, and your immune system doesn't know what to do. But I've seen so many anecdotes of that, of people prettier and more attractive than myself who have worse genetics when it comes to health. And so, but I still think on average, science has proved that the prettier you are, the more attractive you are, the better your immune system is, the better your hormones are, the more you're likely to, look sexually dimorphic, like not be androgynous, like be manly or womanly, depending on what you're supposed to be. And so, I think that on average, your looks are an indicator of your health, especially when it comes to your immune system, which is arguably, super important system. And, a lot of this is achieved in different developmental stages. So, If you are, going through puberty and you have a lot of seasonal allergies, you're going to mouth breathe and you're going to have a horse face. You're going to have, less of a jawline, a receding jawline, a longer face, worse FWHR, and that is because you are mouth breathing to achieve the right amount of oxygen despite the fact that your nose is stuffed up because your immune system sucks and is overactive. And so there are many, many examples like that. If your immune system doesn't have to go into overdrive to fight every little thing, you're going to have good testosterone. And, I'm a big advocate for TRT, but it doesn't really matter as much if you have testosterone when you're past puberty. It's when you're in, as a man, when you're in puberty, and before and whatever else, when you're in these critical windows of time, when you're still growing, that's when the hormones are going to positively shape your face. And there's no getting around that, and there's definitely exceptions to the rule, and there are a lot of ugly pro athletes due to the fact that they have been mouth breathers their whole life because they spent half of their life, exercising super hard. But those are exceptions to the rule, In general, when it comes to normal people who are living sort of the American lifestyle, your immune system and your ability to breathe out of your nose is going to affect whether or not you naturally mew, whether you have good tongue posture, and it's going to affect your face. I say all this to say what? I think these differences in the way that people look, it can really come down to, just a 3% better looking guy, might be 1% healthier than you. And to evolution, we're talking millions of years. And so 1%, you can kind of, put that in a compound multiplier and you get 300% better genetics before it's all said and done. So it's not like, with a little extra effort when it comes to the meritocracy, you can't outdo these chads. I have all expectation that you can. But it doesn't mean that women are going to treat you the same. And women have a wisdom about them. They have an intuition, and they have this because, they are meant to be nature. They are meant to be ruthless selectors of that 1% difference in your genetic profile. And, if you put in one extra day of practice over these Chad lights, over these Chads, you can defeat them in pretty much anything. But that doesn't really matter to women. It just doesn't. And so, with those proportions really being pointed out, to say that women have some flaws in their selection is to say that evolution has some flaws in its selection. And just based on the track record of species that have gone extinct and deformities and mutations that go on, all the time, I think that it is fair to say that women are selecting in a incomplete way. I think it is absolutely fair, when everything is reasoned out in terms of evolution, which I'm not capable of doing, but I'm taking a stab at it, is to say that, women there is room for criticism when it comes to women's selection. They are not as smart as, nature is not as smart as we would hope, as we would think. And that's why the black pill is valid, when it comes to evolution and, genealogy. So, don't worry, if the girl goes with the guy who's just a little, who looks way better, he might just have a little bit better of a potential, but you might be living your, 75% of your potential. He's living 1% of his because he's a piece of crap. And so that is something that you need to bear in mind. As a high tier normie, I have been outdone by sub 5 males in many different domains, in terms of grasping for leadership over a particular group, sports, academics, job performance. I'd say on average, people cluster in their looks group, but there is room for social mobility, at least in those areas that are not strictly controlled by women. If you have a female boss or you have a female panel of whatever judging everything you do, you are at the mercy of the black pill, my friend. But if you don't, I think you're going to be okay, And so choose your industry wisely, choose your friends wisely, choose the state that you live in wisely, okay? And, there are other vectors where the black pill could affect it, but, I think that the evolutionary one really trumps all. I think that really it is invalid, and I think that the way that we are selected for men, back in the 1800s or, whatever time frame, before social media, before this neurotic comparison that every woman puts herself through, and, this, Zio-controlled, media complex and all that kind of stuff that's really trying to make life difficult for you. I think before that, I think that we were very, very much on a better track, and I think that, really since you saw feminism come into full effect, that's when we've seen the breakdown of genetics. That's since we've seen the breakdown of, the immune system. That's when we've seen the breakdown of, hierarchy and competence, as Jordan Peterson might allude to. So, yeah, I don't think that what we need is a female president. I don't think that what we need is more female CEOs. I think that in companies like that, you're going to have the prettiest, C-suite of Chads that you've ever seen. But, it's up to debate if anything is going to get done in such an organization. Well, thank you so much. This has been High Tier Normie. Kind of set out a structure for this video that was more casting a wide net, but I think that hitting that initial point sort of settled the issue. So let me know if you have any comments. I think that I get really intelligent comments on this channel. I've only had really no weirdo comments, and I really appreciate you guys for just being so smart, and it keeps me motivated to give the best content that I'm capable of. So thank you.